This is DDS. We are your hosts, Blake Melton, Bradley Newberry, and the man Matthew, we won't say it, Matthew Parker. Tell me it ain't so, Parker.
I'm alive, fellas, but I will not lie to you. I am literally driving out the middle of woods with beer, chips, a big bag of Siete chips, actually, some hot sauce, and I'm going to down the Sorrow's Way.
There you go. It's not a bad way to go.
Well, we appreciate everybody taking time to listen to this very special solo edition of the Tennessee Titans reaction show. And we'll do it a little different. We're just going to talk about this game. Then we'll get to our normal stuff in a different podcast. But Parker, go ahead and set the tone, man. Tell us about pregame. Tell us about the atmosphere.
So, gentlemen, I'm completely honest with you guys. I didn't even talk about this at all before we started this. This is the first time I have talked about this game because I was so defeated. And we'll get into that. But the pregame atmosphere was awesome. I mean, it was rocking. We got down there like 5 hours early, walked across the street, ate at the Southern. And, you know, there were some Bengals fans to be expected. But, I mean, you know, 15% of the crowd, 20% of the crowd, not much. And it was absolutely rocking. There was not a seat in the house that was empty. It was electric. I put out on Twitter when they announced Derrick Henry's name, and you couldn't even it might have rivaled the Music City Miracle. Like, that's how loud it was.
Wow.
It wasn't that level, but it was in the same ballpark.
Man, Blake, this was a day built for a big-time Titans victory.
I mean, there was so much leading up to it that, you know, it was one of those that the closer I got to game time, the more I was kind of getting the feeling like, uh-oh. This is one of those moments that we've had in the past as Titans fans where it's been like, man, there's a lot of hype here. Can we live up to this hype?
Oh, let me tell you, as we got closer to game time, I actually felt the other way. I put some money on Titans -2.5.
Wow.
I went the other way.
I loved it. I thought this was a sure lock. I wanted this game more than I wanted the Super Bowl. I mean, I think I might have said it on last week's podcast. I really wanted to win this game more than a Super Bowl. I wanted there to be an AFC Championship game in Nashville. This week would have been a party. It would have been so much fun to be down there. I didn't send it to you guys, but I had a top-level, nice hotel room suite for Friday, Saturday, Sunday night next week booked as soon as we get off of last week's podcast. And I was going to say to you, like, here's where we're doing the show. I didn't even tell my wife about it until after the loss. I go, you know what's going to make this worse? Let me tell you what I did, because we were going to party it up for 3 days. And it's just, any loss is sad, and losses stick with you. Like, I remember the 2002 loss to the Ravens, the 2008 loss to the Ravens. This is going to be a loss I talk about for the rest of my life.
Well, we can break it down. Here, let's go to the drive sheet, okay? Everybody's happy. Everybody's excited. Tennessee Titans get the ball to start the game. And on the first play, Blake, disaster strikes.
Yeah, you know, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I was in the car listening to this, and I mean, just the wind going out of Mike Key's sails after the first play, just intercepted. You know, it's just like, good grief. So again, a lot of hype. I've always said big time players show up in big time games. You know, as a fan, you're sitting there listening to it and you're watching it and you're like, okay, I guess if it's going to happen, that's the play I want it to happen on. I want it to happen on the very first play. Get it out of the system, so to speak. But as we'll get into, seemed to have been a kind of an indicator for things to come.
So, Parker, what did the stadium feel like after the first play?
I mean, it just absolutely sucked the wind out of it. But it only did for a little bit, because we literally walked out there and said, here's your 3 points. That easily could have been more disastrous than it was, because the defense stepped up, did their job, got out of there with 3. I will say, though, I mean, I obviously watch every single Titans game and every single play. That is the worst pick I've ever seen Tannehill throw as a Titan, bar none.
Yeah.
Not even close. Horrible. It was a Mariota-esque throw in his last year when he was like And I saw it. Like Julio turns, and I'm like, why did he not throw it? He's open. I hit him, and he waited for like 2 seconds. Just it was so late. It was just inexcusably bad. And I get it. You get nerves, and I talked about this game so much over last week. I don't remember if I talked about this in our podcast. I thought one of the underrated things was the coaching staff on the other team, as bad as they are. Zach Taylor was Tannehill's coach for like 6 years. The defensive coordinator was a defensive guy in Miami the entire time Tannehill was there. I just think that was an underplayed point. I do think we touched on it, but I haven't heard a lot of people mention that. I think that they knew him super well, but that was just a terrible, terrible, terrible pass.
I mean, I hear you on the opposing coach thing, but I think, I'm sure we're going to get into it. I'm looking more on our sideline more than anything else.
Oh, I am too. I'm just saying, I think that's because I'm trying to, after the game, I'm trying to figure out like what happened. Like, this is an uncharacteristic game for Tannehill. This is a bad. I mean, he had a 4 interception game, but this is worse. This was way worse. I'm just trying to figure out what happened. There's got to be a reason for it.
I think, don't get me wrong, I think that what you said is kind of playing, it kind of magnified some of the issues we have on our offensive coordinator situation that's going on.
Well, yeah, that's an awful. I'm sure we'll touch on that. But yes, first drive, wind sucked out of the sails. But you did feel a little bit. It got a little rejuvenated when it was only 3. Everybody kind of looked around and was like, "Okay, like cool."
I said, if you want to, if it's going to happen, you don't ever want it to happen. But if it's going to happen, I guess you'd rather it be that first play because you've got the entire game to kind of get it back.
One more point on this, because we've said it many times and we've heard it many times growing up. In the NFL, once the wide receiver comes wide open, it's too late.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's got to anticipate that and throw it.
Which he does. That's why it was so bad. I talked to my wife before this game and said, in every aspect, we are better than this team. The only way, like literally verbatim, I said, the only way we lose this game is turnovers. That is the only way we lose this game.
Seems to be an issue we've had this year too, and that's the issue. We picked a bad game for that to rear its head.
So to Parker's point, the pick happens. I believe the Bengals had 6 plays held to a field goal, one of many by McPherson from Florida. Field goal, then we have some punt fest going back and forth. The Titans offense can't get anything established. No push really up front, it didn't look like, from the O-line against the depleted defensive line from the Bengals. They were trying to, after doing the play action, trying to get Henry going, but wasn't to be early. Did you see some anything that stood out on the O-line in the first quarter?
I thought we looked better than this team. Titans averaged 6.5 yards per freaking play on this game. That was over 1.5 yards more than they averaged.
We haven't gotten there yet. I was just talking about early. I didn't see anything early.
I'm just saying they were a better team even early. Like I just, if you watch this game, yes, there was 0 on the scoreboard, but it felt like this is a matter of time till the dam breaks open.
Well, it was weird because Titans are a notoriously slow starting team. So it didn't really, the O-line play, I mean, it didn't really look anything that was different from what we've seen normally, which is not necessarily a compliment. But I mean, I didn't see anything that I was just like glaringly like, oh God, that sucks. But I think it was a wow, I can't talk. COVID tongue here. Combination of below average quarterback play, subpar play calling, and then just not capitalizing on opportunities. I mean, our defense kept putting us in good position. There's not any blame to be put on the defense in the first half for sure.
No, and you say subpar quarterback play. I mean, I'll go out on record and say this is the worst Tannehill's played a game since he's been a Titan. It's not even about drops. It's not even close. If he was subpar, if he plays subpar, we win this game by 14 points.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm probably being soft by saying subpar. I think you're exactly right. I mean, there were passes that were being made over the middle that were, I mean, guy running wide open across the middle. No one's even guarding him. And he's throwing the ball behind him. And it's like, it's a 3-yard pass and you can't put the ball out in front of somebody. It's like, golly, what? This is not the guy that I've been defending all year, saying that he's an accurate guy. He just tries to force it in.
Yeah, I mean, 2 weeks ago, like I'll pile on him because he deserves it in this game. But we also aren't in this game without him. Like if he doesn't show up in the Texans game 2 weeks ago and throw 4 touchdown passes, we don't have that bye.
Right.
But yeah, it was absolutely just awful in the first quarter of how Tannehill looked.
Yeah, Cincinnati closes out the first quarter with a second McPherson field goal to go up 6-0. Titans punt at the end of the first quarter. Then the Bengals punt again, and then here we go. The Tennessee offense wakes up with a 9-play, 84-yard touchdown drive, and then Blake or Park, whoever wants to take it first. There's a penalty right on the extra point. Moves the ball to the 1, and Vrabel decides, hey, let's just go ahead and take the 2-point chance right here.
Yeah, this was one of the first big screw ups here. I mean, mathematically, there's zero reason to do this at this point in the game. Just looking back at it, I know that they're probably trying. I think the thought was, yeah, we're just going to try to start the throat stomp early. But you've got a running back that hasn't been playing. They all know what play you're going to run or some variation of it. And it just doesn't benefit you even if you get it, honestly. It just doesn't. Needless to say, I think we would all rather have had that point later in the game the way it turned out.
In hindsight, looking at it, it looks stupid. And I honestly, I see both sides of this. With the penalty, you get it half the distance from the 2. You get the 1 instead of the 2. So I get the idea of why they went for it. I really don't mind them going for it. And we can touch on this with a play later. What I mind is it's so hard not to just cuss up and down this podcast.
Do it.
Is the play calling.
Yeah.
The play calling was so bad. If there was anyone worse in this game than Tannehill, in fact, let's not even say that. If Tannehill was on a scale of 1 to 100 was a 2, Todd Downing was a negative 100.
I think Blake's saying the same thing.
Yeah, I mean,
unbelievable how bad it was.
Yeah, so
maybe like 10 incidents.
Yeah, so the thing that makes it difficult for me to I mean, look, I'm not happy with Tannehill's play. I think this was one of the worst performances in playoff history, quite frankly. But I'm also looking at this through the lens of these were terrible plays that were being called. What is a player to do whenever he has a shit play called? Is he supposed to I don't know what he's supposed to do.
The best play call of the game was the first play. I had a buddy sitting next to me, and I said, hey, everybody thinks the Kings getting it on the first play. They need a play action past this, either Julio or AJ, because they're not expecting it. It was absolutely perfect. It was wide open. Tannehill dismissed it. Outside of that,
he hesitated.
No, that's what I'm saying. He missed. But that was the right play call. Is all I'm saying. Outside of that, it was just
a comedy of errors. At that point.
If Tannehill or I keep saying Todd Helton in my head, but Todd Downing were just a slightly bit better. Mm-hmm. You win this game, because I'll say it right now. I don't care if they're an AFC team. The Cincinnati team is fraudulent.
I'm looking at their stats. They are one of the.
What were they coming into this game? The 27th rated defense.
And people talk about this offense. This offense sucks. Yeah, they can hit a big play every now and then. They got sacked more than any team in the history of the playoffs. They're just not good. The Raiders outgained them yards per play. The Titans outgained them yards per play. People were talking about Burrow did something. Burrow laid on his back in this game. McPherson won this game. And by the way, this is a little side rant, but I've thought this for a few years. Why the hell are we all not drafting kickers? Because
I don't know.
in the fifth round, why are we taking? Why are we all take? It's one of the most important positions in football. If you look up the leading scorers in the history of the NFL, they're all kickers. Why are we taking these guys off the scrubs off of whatever off the streets? Take somebody in the fifth or sixth round where you're taking some wide receiver out of no name school anyway, and you get the best kicker in the league. This guy's good.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, but
I have so many thoughts about this game. I can't keep it all in.
I know. Bradley's here to moderate for us.
Man, the highlight of the drive, though, was a big 41-yard pass to A.J. Brown. It was one of what ended up being multiple big plays by A.J. Brown in this game to try to keep the Titans alive. And then we have the third McPherson field goal to end the half. Cincinnati goes in at halftime 9-6. I'm sure the atmosphere still around the stadium is a positive one, right?
It is. It's still I literally am talking to people while I'm in there going, if you would have told me how bad Tannehill would play, how bad we were missing people, that we would be down by 3 points, like sign me up, because I thought we were going to come out and just stomp this team in the second half, which honestly we started to.
So here's what happened, and we're almost at the end of the game, but coming right out of the half, uncharacteristically, the Titans give up a 9-play touchdown drive to Cincinnati, and then all of a sudden Cincinnati finds themselves up 16-6. I was not expecting that coming out of halftime.
I don't know that I didn't expect that. I mean, you come out of half, you've picked up on what the defense is doing. You come out with a script of plays that you're going to come out with on the half.
But not this coach. We've been talking about this coach doesn't have that
these are professional athletes. It's not just the head coach that comes out with it. So I mean, it doesn't surprise me that happened necessarily, particularly considering that that was their last touchdown for the game.
Parker, did it take the fans by surprise? They just went right down the field and scored right out of halftime.
It definitely got a little bit more quiet in the stadium, but it's kind of like, though, that first turnover, how the Titans defense reacted on that first one kind of got it back in it. How the Titans offense came to life after that also kind of got back into it.
Let's talk about that. So right after they scored, that everyone needed the Titans offense to come to life, and Blake, guess what they did? They went 3 and out and had to punt.
Yep.
Right after that, not good.
I mean, like I said, you were talking to
Cincinnati's coaching out-coaching the Titans, which is unbelievable.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say. Is that was the example of the exact inverse with the Titans coming out in the half.
Yeah, but wasn't the next play a turnover by Bengals and Titans drove right back down and scored?
Yeah, I mean,
that's what I mean. Right? I didn't mean like.
I stand corrected. It was not a 3 and out. It was a touchdown. So 16-6.
Yeah, I was about to say
it was Tannehill's second pick on the next drive.
Now this pick. Let me get on this. This pick I put not solely. This pick was a good defensive play. Honestly,
it was a good play. Yeah, go for it. I know where you're going with this. I can't wait.
This is on Downing.
Yes,
you just ran it effing 60 yards downfield. You're running it on them like 12 yards of freaking handoff. You get down to the 9-yard line and you run a screen pass to Chester Rogers.
Yeah, do an RPO. What do you know? RPO that we only run 2 different plays off of.
Just, you know what? Sometimes I get so pissed off with this team. This is not a this game situation. This has been the whole year with Downing, where it's like, look, man, I complain about people running up the middle, but sometimes it's just obvious. Just run it. Like, we were owning that defensive line at that point. And Foreman was feeling it. Just put him in and give him the freaking ball. We score. A freaking screenplay on the 9-yard line to your 5th wide receiver.
Yeah, I never have understood that. Why are we screening with our 5th wide receiver? I never have understood that. Which we're going to get into personnel issues, but once you get past AJ and Julio, it's like, good grief, we have very weak receivers after 1 and 2.
No, they had plenty of opportunity to play this year, knowing the most injured team in NFL history. What was it, 91 players?
Yeah.
Yep, 91 people.
Suit up. Yeah, so we've got the pick, then we've got a little back and forth. I think the Titans get a field goal to go within 7. Make it 16-9. And then we get a pick. Titans defense steps up and picks off Burrow here. Little momentum, potential shift.
At this point in the stadium, this is one of those games I've never felt. I mean, it was going nuts at this point. I've never felt, because it felt like the tide had changed at this point, and that it was over. Like, we're going to go down, score. This game's done. It was a roller coaster. I've been to games where you've been on a high the entire time. I've been on to games where you've been on a low the entire time. This game had the highest of highs, and then 5 minutes later would have the lowest of lows. And it was just an absolute roller coaster of emotion, and it was draining. Honestly, that's why I couldn't hardly do anything for the last week.
I mean,
yeah, it was going nuts at this point. This is when I thought it was
This
over.
was the momentum shift, because it was a pick, and then 2 plays later, Blake, the Titans cash in with a tying touchdown.
Yeah, and I mean,
16-16.
Whenever, I think at this point I had made it over to your house almost. Or close to it. And I had made the comment that, at this point, what I usually refer to this is it's tractor time. That you get your big boys out there, you get Derrick Henry, you get Deontay Foreman, and you say, go out there and win the game. And for whatever reason, and this has kind of been a theme over this whole game, all of a sudden we have all of our pieces in place that we haven't had all year. And we abandon our identity. We're a run first team, period. Like Parker said, it got to a point to where we're running at will on this team. But is Derrick Henry running like he normally does? No, not really. But Deontay Foreman is.
Yeah, Foreman's great.
And it's like, why are we not putting the heavies in there, taking the opportunity for there to be a turnover issue out of play, put the ball in their hands, put the ball in the O-line's hands, and just say, I need you to go out there and get me close enough to where I can kick this ball through the uprights.
Yeah. So we get a fourth quarter game here. We're all tied up. Titans have the ball to begin the fourth quarter. They turn it over on downs on another late questionable play call on fourth down.
This was not questionable.
No.
The play call they screwed up was on 3rd down.
Yeah.
Just
third
again,
down, you're right. 3rd down play call. You're right.
So, they tried to do some weird play that they never tried to just turn around and run the ball. Like,
what was a quarterback draw out of the shotgun? Is that what it was?
I have no idea. They ran into each other.
It's like a read option almost.
What they did on 3rd down, whatever that was, if they executed it, that's what should have been. Fourth, when they ran the ball, it should have been on 3rd down. When you do the other play, it's on 4th down. They had it backwards. And something else that they didn't do in this game at all, and I kept saying, why aren't they doing this? Why aren't they doing this? Where the heck was the play action bootleg with Tanny around the corner? Every time they run that play, it is successful. And there were so many short 4th downs or 3rd downs or 2-point conversions. I'm screaming. When Derrick Henry was in the box, he had 9 guys, or Derrick Henry was in the game, he had 9 people in the box 53% of the time, which is insane.
Yeah.
Play action, run it around the corner. All I can sit here and scream, I don't know anything about football. If I know that, why the hell does Todd Downing not know that?
Because he's terrible. I mean, plain and simple. I don't care. I think anybody in the state of Tennessee would have just said, let Derrick Henry run it twice before you do that stupid shit. Why would you ever try to run, like you said, some play that they've never ran? I don't know if I've ever seen them try to do what they're, I mean, like I said, it looked like a read option almost that they were trying to do. I'm like, this is not something we do here. Like you said, I would rather see either Derrick Henry run it twice or let him run it up the middle one time, line up to do it again, run the bootleg out the back end. There are just so many better options there for that situation that I just can't even fathom what was going through his head.
This is from the same guy that wanted to run a screen on the 9-yard line with Chester Rogers, though. So what
Yeah,
like I don't understand how this guy has a job. I think Joe Brady should be here yesterday. It blows. This guy took over this position to be the next head coach in the NFL. He has Julio, he has AJ, he has Derrick Henry, and he can't win a freaking home playoff game because he screwed it up. This should fall on Vrabel too, though. He should walk over and be like, "What the hell are you doing?" It just blew the play calling. Really, just blows my mind.
Yeah, he just stood over there on the sideline biting his bottom lip because he looked like he was scared the whole time. It felt like all the play calling. I think Bradley made this comment whenever at this point in the game. It's like they're playing scared. It was just kind of interesting, the play calling decisions. And as far as Joe Brady, I'll take as many people with the last name Brady as we can get.
Just give me all of them.
Yes.
But this leads to the Tennessee Titans stepping up again on defense. Parker's already touched on it. What was it? Some NFL tying, I think, 9 sacks in a playoff game. They get more here. They get the Cincinnati Bengals to punt again. And now it's set up. Now it's like a 3 to 4 minute drive. All you need is a field goal here, Parker.
Yep.
Disaster strikes again.
So last year, the Titans season ended when they forced it to Khalif Raymond. This year, the Titans season ended when they forced it to Chester Rogers and Nick Westbrook-Akina when they have Julio Jones and A.J. Brown on the field. It is just inexcusable that he's the target on that play. I just don't understand what's going on. I don't understand why we're not just running the ball still. I don't know. I have no idea.
So
I don't know that he was the target. I think it was a bad read on Tannehill. His tight end is underneath, and all we need to do is get that ball close to the line. I mean, Robert, it's why not go for it at that point? So
this was completely on Tannehill, folks. I think it was former Titans wide receiver Derek Mason said he was the target on that play. Yes, he missed the tight end underneath, but the throw was late again. He said that the cornerback from Cincinnati was saying that I could see Tannehill looking at him the whole way.
No, I agree. That's what I'm saying. Why is he throwing it at him? Like, there were people running, just like Blake said, there were people running on that play wide open. I don't know if he was feeling like he had to do too much from those other turnovers. I don't know what the problem was, but as soon as it happened, I turned to people and was like, well, there's the game. It's over because they're going to get 20 yards on the field goal because McPherson's not going to miss.
No. And
again, tractor time, and we're throwing the ball. I don't get it.
I still, this is another time I was screaming about the bootleg. Get the first down, running around the corner. I'm like, let's get it. Let's attempt a 50-yard field goal.
Worst case.
Randy, I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. Worst case scenario, you run out all the time and you try a 58-yard field goal with Fat Randy, and either you make it or you don't. But you take your chances in overtime at that point. Not to mention that where's that point from that extra point in the first quarter?
Also,
that play's huge in that situation.
Blasingame catches that ball and he's still running.
Oh God. Yeah. I heard Jackrabbit just absolutely muffed one too, but
God, that one.
Oh man, that was in the first, I think, Parker. Yeah. He turned. He had it played right, but he just can't catch.
Well, and me and Bradley talked about this. He has one move. It's to jump the route. That's it. He just jumps the route. That's his only move.
It almost felt to me that I'm not going to say anything bad on the defense. The defense played phenomenal. But it felt to me it was such a bad, it was so perfect to him. Like, he didn't expect it. Like, it was just so ridiculously,
there's a reason he plays defense.
Wide receiver not get it delivered to you like that.
Yeah, there's a reason he's playing defense, because he can't catch.
Exactly.
So, honestly, even after this pick by Tannehill, I still had some faith in the Titans defense to take this to overtime here. But, of course, the very first play, Blake just said it, Jackrabbit has like one move where he plays this off coverage and tries to jump routes. Well, he did it here, and Jamar Chase got behind him, Parker. They just kind of lobbed it over Jackrabbit in a big 19-yard game.
Dude, that guy, watching him live, watching Jamar Chase, and just watching how the Titans, every time they had a safety, like as soon as they hiked it, the safety went over to Jamar Chase almost every play. I mean, I was almost specifically the matchup I was watching, and the times they didn't, which was like 3 times. Every time just went right at him, and every single time he made the catch, and they couldn't tackle him. That guy he's a rookie, and he's already one of the hardest people to tackle in the league.
That's scary.
That's absolutely what I want for Duval. It's what I want for Trevor Lawrence. I don't know that I can pick it at number 1, though. But
I don't know that he exists. I think that guy is a really special player.
Yeah, that's
I don't know
generational draft there.
Yeah, I don't know that we've got anybody out there that is that guy. I don't know. In years, I don't remember somebody that's that guy. Just as a rookie, he looks like just going to all the games. You watch those receivers and how they run and stuff, and this guy just looks. It looks like he's like a DeAndre Hopkins out there. I mean, just that level of excellence.
Yeah. Well, congratulations to Mike Vrabel. He does win the NFL Coach of the Year. But what were some of the takeaways? What are some of the things that you guys heard in his post game that stood out?
A lot of tiptoeing around whose fault it was. I think he accepts that there's a large part of it on the coaching, in the coaching aspect of things that was to blame. I don't think he's the type of guy that's really going to throw a player under the bus when it's pretty glaringly obvious that he had a bad game. But I just, there's a lot of tiptoeing going on around the Titans organization at the moment.
And he should. As a coach, like, I want a player to come out and say I sucked or something, but as a coach, you should be the first to take the blame and the first to deflect the praise. I don't have a problem with how he did anything. I'm fine. Like, that's what you want your coach to do. So, if you screw up, and your boss is going to take the hit for you.
Yeah, I think everybody knows that there's more questions than answers right now at the moment.
So this moves the Titans to 0-3 when owning the AFC number 1 position in the playoffs. Not a good stat to have, but all eyes will now turn to the offseason. John Robinson, you're up. It's your time to do something here. But for this game, disappointment all over the mid-state here in Tennessee. And I don't really have any other thoughts about it other than disappointment for Titans fans.
It sucks because this roster was primed to win. Defense was clicking. Everybody was healthy. That's what hurts about this. It's not one of those games where you like in Cincinnati when they get crushed by this week. But I'll just go ahead and throw that out there by KC. You don't expect it to happen. They're priming too early. Titans have the roster to do this. So what do? What's the answer? The answer to me is an offensive coordinator, which is probably going to happen. But I don't know what the major upgrade you make off season, because now you've got to pay some of these guys to stick around. And by the way, I heard a stat earlier today. This makes me just angry. So Titans had 9 sacks. If you have 7 in the history of the NFL, if you have 7 sacks or more in a game, 88% of the time, this happened 212 times, 88% of the time you win. Only 12% of the teams that had 7 sacks or more have ever lost in the NFL. And Titans now join that illustrious number.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of stuff that's got to be addressed in the offseason. I mean, I think they've got to figure out, do we have do we have another option at quarterback, even if it's not on the current roster? Or are we painted into a corner because of salary cap situations and contracts that are in place? Defensive back plays got to be. I mean, we may have to make a whole series of podcasts on this, most likely, because otherwise this is going to be a 3-hour long podcast. But the defensive back plays got to be addressed. The offensive line situation that has the potential of being a complete disaster. Depending on how they decide to address that. And then obviously the offensive coordinator is the big glaring thing that I think that, in my opinion, would be the easiest thing to address.
I will touch on one of those on the quarter because you're right, it would take forever to go through them. But I'll touch on quarterback. One, Tannehill will be the quarterback next year. I don't care.
I
what
think he
people
has
say.
to be.
He will be the quarterback. He has to be. And I'm honestly, I've stayed away. Really tried to stay away. I've glanced on Twitter every now and then. These people that say Tannehill's got to go are insane. Like, he has been good for the team. Yes, it was a bad game. Yes, it was horrific. Yes, it was in the playoffs. Do you not remember the 5 years before Tannehill? Do you not remember Marcus? Do you not remember before that with, oh my God, just Washington quarterback that was so bad? Walker. Be careful what you wish for. Blake Bortles is starting for you at quarterback if Tannehill's on the team. There's only
Bortles.
Yes, I'm
maybe like Marcus is coming back.
That's okay. Maybe it's Marcus. No one wants Marcus. I'm just saying, be careful what you wish for. There again there's 360 million people in this country, and 8 of them are good at playing quarterback. And there's about 10 of them that are pretty good. And Tannehill falls in that 10 category. You don't want to be in that bottom 14.
Yeah.
The people that want to cut him, or the people that want Logan Woodside on the team.
Oh, good God.
Next year.
Yeah.
I just think that, yes, he was awful in this game, but that is a knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah.
Well, hey, look, if you can move on, if you get Russell Wilson, sign me up, buddy. Let's go.
Yeah, but you got to be realistic. But yeah, briefly, his contract is going to pretty much guarantee that he's going to be there for the 22 season. Otherwise, they're going to be paying through the nose to be able to get rid of him.
I don't think it's that far different than the Russell Wilson thing. There was some
but like he said,
the numbers on.
Like he said, if you can make it equitable, that's fine. But
Russell Wilson, they win the Super Bowl.
But my thing is is if you still had Arthur Smith at offensive coordinator, would this game have gone differently?
Yes,
I think that as well. I'm not excusing Tannehill.
And this is the same thing that happened. Nothing because of your quarterback.
They had one of the worst defenses in the history of the NFL last year. It had nothing to do with Arthur Smith. They literally had the worst third down defense in the history of the NFL last year. If they would have had this defense last year, they might have won the Super Bowl.
Well, I mean, or Matt LaFleur, whoever you want it to be. My thing is if I think if you can affect this lineup with as few replacements as possible, I think that's a good thing for this team. But like I said, we could talk about this. This is probably going to be 3 or 4 podcasts more than likely, but we'll see.
I mean, we appreciate the Titans giving us fodder for a weekly podcast.
Yeah, no shit.
All season long. So,
exactly.
There you go.
Yeah, we've definitely got all the way up to June 1st, which is when they have until to release people like Lawan Saffold, Kendall Lamb, and Jack Rabbit Jenkins, which they could really clear up some cap space.
Yeah, I'll have to get looking at those numbers. I don't know what the dead hit and all those stuff will be, but we can before we. I'll know those before we tackle that.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. We're going to cut this one here, and then we'll get to a different podcast for our rest of the reactions, some championship picks. Any last thoughts on this Titans one?
Hey, USFL, baby. Let's go, Fisher. I'm watching.
Oh, there you go. Wow. Yeah. Man, this is going to be several weeks of trying to hash all this out, trying to figure out what happened, how to move forward from this. But hey, guys, thanks for joining us today on this, our part 1 series on what in the hell are the Titans going to do now. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below, hit the like button, notification bell for new videos, and check us out on Twitter at DDS Sports Talk. Leave a comment there for us. Tell us what you think the Titans need to do moving forward. Any closing thoughts, guys?
My favorite closing thought is the Tennessee Titans now join the likes of the New England Patriots, the Indianapolis Colts, and the Jacksonville Jaguars, winning 0 postseason games. Congratulations.
That's great.
Oh, I just wish it could be a party on Broad this week. Tonight would have been so much fun.
Oh, man, I would have loved it.
Yeah, it would have been great. But hey, guys, again, thanks for joining us today. I'm going to still say it because I still believe it. It is two-tone blue all the way. You guys be well.